Imagine waking up tomorrow and finding out your backyard is sitting on the world's largest oil reserve. You think your future is set, right? No more debt, no more worries. But what if that sudden wealth was actually a slow-acting poison for your entire neighborhood? This is the central mystery of global economics, the resource curse. Across the globe, we see a recurring tragedy. Nations with the most abundance, oil in Venezuela, diamonds in Sierra Leone, often suffer the most from poverty, corruption, and war. Meanwhile, nations like Norway or Botswana, facing the same lottery win, manage to build the most stable societies on Earth. Why? Is it luck? Is it culture? Or is there a secret operating system that some leaders understand while others ignore? We are looking at the math of survival and the psychology of greed to understand why some gold glitters while others bleeds. In the year 2001, Venezuela was the richest country in South America. They sat on 300 billion barrels of oil, more than even Saudi Arabia. When Hugo Chavez took power, he didn't just spend the oil money, he promised a revolution. He funded misiones, massive social programs providing free healthcare and food. On paper, it looked like a miracle as poverty dropped by half. But behind the scenes, a silent killer called the Dutch disease was spreading. Why call it the Dutch disease? In 1959, the Netherlands struck blue gold, massive natural gas. As they exported gas, the demand for their currency skyrocketed, making it too expensive. Suddenly, other Dutch businesses, like their famous cheesemakers, couldn't compete, and factories shut down. Venezuela fell victim to the most extreme version of this. With oil dollars flooding the market, the local currency became artificially strong. It became cheaper for a farmer in Caracas to import corn from the U.S. than to grow it in his own field. By 2012, oil accounted for 95% of their exports. Venezuela had become a one-legged economy. After Hugo Chavez died in 2013, his hand-picked successor, Nicolás Maduro, took the wheel. But Maduro lacked Chavez's charisma and, more importantly, he lacked high oil prices. When oil prices snapped in 2014, the nation's only leg broke. Instead of fixing the economy, Maduro doubled down, seizing private companies and printing trillions of bolivars to stay in power. The result was a nightmare. Hyperinflation turned the currency into literal trash. Soon, a chicken cost more than a car used to. Hunger became a daily reality. This triggered one of the largest displacement crises in history. Since 2014, over 7.7 million people, about 25% of the entire population, have fled Venezuela. Doctors, engineers, and teachers left with nothing but a suitcase, walking thousands of miles across borders just to survive. The nation didn't just lose its money, it lost its heartbeat, its people. The lesson? A nation that produces only one thing is not a country. It's a gas station with a flag. Now, let's fly to the cold North Sea. In 1969, Norway found oil too, but the Norwegians were terrified. They saw what happened to others and said, "We must not let this money touch our domestic economy today." They created a fiscal rule that is world famous. They would only spend a tiny fraction of their oil returns, about 3%, on the national budget. The rest? It goes straight into the government pension fund global. Norway's strategy was economic sterilization. By investing oil profits in foreign stocks instead of spending them at home, they kept their currency stable and protected their traditional industries like fishing and shipping. But here's the genius part. Norway became the ultimate passive income nation. Today, their fund holds shares in nearly 9,000 companies worldwide. They are the top owners of Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft. They realized that oil is a depleting asset. It runs out. But human innovation in Silicon Valley and green energy in Europe is a growing asset. They even rebranded their oil giant, Statoil, to Equinor, shifting their focus to to offshore wind. While Venezuela gave its people a fish for a day, Norway built a global fishing fleet that will feed its citizens for centuries. To understand that this isn't just about oil, we must look at the diamond duel in Africa. In Sierra Leone, diamonds were found in riverbeds. Anyone with a shovel could find one. This sounds like a dream, but it was a nightmare. These were easy-to-extract resources that fueled warlords. Because the diamonds were so easy to steal, the country fell into an extractive institution. The elite fought for control of the mines, leading to a 10-year-long civil war that left the nation in ruins. But look at Botswana. When they found diamonds shortly after their independence in 1966, they were one of the poorest nations on earth. But their leaders, like Seretse Khama, did something radical. They sat down with the mining giant De Beers and negotiated a 50-50 partnership. They established clear property rights and a transparent government. Instead of buying tanks, they built schools. Botswana has had one of the highest average growth rates in the world for 50 years. They proved that it wasn't the diamond that caused the war in Sierra Leone, it was the lack of a system that shared the wealth. In Botswana, diamonds are a girl's best friend. In Sierra Leone, they were a rebel's best currency. Why do these stories turn out so differently? The answer lies in a concept that won the 2024 Nobel Prize in Economics: inclusive versus extractive institutions. Nobel laureates Daron Acemoglu and James Robinson argue that countries don't fail because of geography or bad luck. They fail because of their rules of the game. Extractive institutions, like Venezuela or Sierra Leone, are designed to extract wealth from the many to provide for the few. They fear creative destruction, the idea that new technology replaces the old, because it might threaten their power. On the other hand, inclusive institutions like Norway or Botswana create a level playing field. They protect your right to own what you create, they enforce the law equally, and they encourage the entire population to participate. In an inclusive society, the government is the steward of the nation's resources, not the owner. The secret of success is simple, but hard to do. You must build your courts, your schools, and your laws before you start spending your gold. So, what is the ultimate lesson? History shows us that wealth is not what you have, but how you manage it. A country's true treasure isn't buried 5,000 feet underground, it's the trust between its citizens and its leaders. Venezuela and Sierra Leone are warnings, reminders that free money often comes with the highest price tag: your future. Norway and Botswana are the blueprints. They show us that with transparency, patience, and a commitment to inclusive rules, even the most dangerous resource can be turned into a lasting blessing. As you look at the world today, don't be blinded by the glitter of gold or the slick of oil. Look at the institutions. Look at the rules. Because in the long run, the nations that win aren't the ones with the most resources, but the ones with the most wisdom. We'll see you in the next video.